Okay, so I have my floor plan, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my 2D tools to create this roof right now. So when we actually look down at our roofs, even though they may have slopes, this is plan view, so we're not actually visually going to see those slopes in plan view. So it's like we're taking our roof and flattening it. We're going to see the lines of our ridges and our valleys. If we have a shed roof and it's sloped, if we're looking at it in plan view and it's flat, what is it going to look like? Just a rectangle. It's going to look like a flat roof. We are going to use arrows so we can indicate slope, and we're going to be showing that slope information on our elevations. So I'm just going to use my polygon tool, and I'm going to use my lasso, and I'm just going to do a polygon all around. Oh, that didn't go where I wanted it to go. Oh, did I? So I'm going to right click and do, well, actually I'm not going to do that. But this didn't actually go where I wanted it to go. That's fine. I'm not going to redraw it because I want to learn how to edit it, okay? So I'm going to double click on my polygon, and by double clicking on my polygon, that actually brings me into this reshape tool. So this reshape tool, you can use it for a lot of different modifications. So even if we are working with our 3D models and we want to edit our walls, we can double click on our walls, and this actually takes us into a form of this reshape tool. So we want to get to know this tool well. So in this case, I can see that when I double clicked on it, when I first clicked on the shape, these object handles are around, they basically create this rectangle around the entire shape. So I can stretch these, grab these object handles and stretch my shape, but it just scales it. So it doesn't actually reshape the arms or vertices of the polygon. It basically takes this bounding rectangle and modifies that and then applies that scaling factor to the shape. So I can see I'm in my polygon tool. It says polygon, but I'm in my selection tool, and it has this rectangular bounding box. Now if I double click again on that polygon, it still says polygon, but now this, in my tool palette, it takes me into this reshape tool. Now you can see along the top, there's quite a few mode menus. So the first one, it's going to move a vertex. So I can see that as I hover over a vertex, I can grab it and it's going to move that vertex. Now, all those edges are going to move along with that vertex, but the angle of those edges have been changed. I'm going to undo that. Now the second one is move edges parallel mode. So now if I grab this edge, it keeps those edges parallel and maintaining the angles that they're at. So if I grabbed that same vertex with the other mode, I can see that it reshapes those edges again. I can also see here, so there's 3 points along this side, and there's 3 points along this side. What happened on the other 2 sides is it took this other shape into consideration. So there's actually 1 edge here, 2 edge, 3 edge. So it's broken up into 3 pieces or even more, because I can see that there's actually some vertices stacked right there. So before I go any further, and if I moved, so if I use my U key, I can toggle, I can grab this and I can see what's kind of happening. So you can see that, whoa, where did that go? Anyways, there's something way over there. So I knew that there was something going on. I didn't know exactly. And so we can kind of play with that. This chain vertex mode, right now we're creating 90-degree angles or points with our vertices, but we can also create curves with our vertices. So, pardon? Fun. Fun. Yes. Oh, yes. These are can be quite tricky. You'll want to play with them to see how they perform. So even if you just take this for a second, go through these different modes and try them. So this is a change vertex mode. These are all points, but I can change them to Beziers. And this is a cubic spline point mode, a radius, and a fillet point mode. So I can hover over. I can't actually change this vertex like I'm hovering over this vertex, but the cursor hasn't changed. It's still black. But if I move my cursor over here, I can see that as I'm hovering over that object handle, it has this little change icon, so 2 arrows in a circle, and that means I can change that point from a vertex to a Bezier control. And I can even scroll over, and there's a few going on here. Before I even do that, I know there's a few going on there. I'm going to subtract some some vertices. So I can see as I do so, it's really hard to see my cursor. I'm going to make my cursor bigger because you can't see it very well. Beach ball slowness. Where is it? Display. Cursor size. Large. Okay, so now I'm back in Vectorworks. If I want to do this subtract, oh, now it's not changing because it's too big. There, oh, it is. Okay, so I want to subtract some of these vertices because I have too many. I just wanted a one face. So as I hover over a vertex that I can subtract, it does this it changes the cursor. So that means it's basically telling me I can modify this vertex. And in this case, I'm subtracting a vertex. So I can just click and it's going to subtract a vertex. I'm going to do a few because there's a few things going on. I just want one straight face, so that should give me 3 vertex points. Well, 2 endpoints and a middle. And before I go any further, I'm going to do that over here as well. Okay, that's good. 3. Okay, now what I could do is I should be able to move the face or move the edge, do my snap loop. And offset 6 inches. And it's saying offset 6 inches, so I know that that's the thickness of my wall, so really that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so I have my outline of my building. Before I go any further, or what I want to do is I don't actually want this on this layer. I want to send it to a new layer. I didn't actually create a new layer over here because what I can do is I've created this shape, If I go up into my object info palette under layer, I can go and I can select a different layer that I want to put it on. For now, I'm just going to do a new design layer, and by selecting that, I can go roof plan and hit OK. I'm going to change. So now I need to go on to my roof plan. So my roof plan, it's going to have an overhang. So I'm going to need to use the offset tool. So what I'm going to do is I have my polygon selected. Now I can go into the offset tool. Which is this little icon here. I can see that its shortcut is Shift minus minus, or I can just click on my offset tool. There's a couple options. So we can offset by point mode or offset by when we click offset by point, or what's this one? Offset by distance. So I want to actually specify the distance that I'm offsetting, so I'll choose that first option. And we can also duplicate an offset, or we can just offset the original object. So that's what those mode menus are. Also, that offset by distance, I can specify the distance here. I can also go into my offset tool preferences, and those options are also available there. So this is that offset by distance mode that is selected. I can specify the distance. I actually want 2 feet and tab that in. Or I could select offset by point and just select that distance or click that distance. I do want to duplicate and offset my the shape, so I will leave that and I can hit OK. I can also double click on any icon or tool icon, and it will bring me into that tool preferences dialog box instantly. So I can hit OK. Now I have the object selected. I've gone into my offset tool. I've specified the offset value. Now it hasn't done anything because now there's something the computer still needs to know. It needs to know, do I want to offset outside of my shape or inside of my shape? So the next operation that I have to do is I have to click. So I either have to click inside my shape or outside. I'm going to click inside to show you. And it's taken that shape and it's offset it inside. So if I go now and I use my dimension tool, it's going to tell me I'm 2 feet. Well, this is my angles are messing things up, so I will go to an unconstrained dimension line, and there I have 2 feet. Okay, so it moved it inside, which is great for showing the offsets, but I don't actually want to offset outside. I don't want to offset inside. I want to offset outside. So I'm going to select my object again, go back in. I don't need to go back. I do need to select my offset tool again. I don't need to go in and change the settings because it maintains that distance of 2 feet or whatever I last input. Now I'm going to click outside, and I can see that it did something, but what happened is it made my shape bigger. And this shape has a fill, so underneath I can't actually see my original shape. But if I send this object to the back, so I can either right click and send it to the back, or I can go Command B. I can see my duplicated offset, which is 2 feet, and then I can see my interior shape as well. So that's what we want to do. Now, so basically what we're doing is we're looking down on our roof. We are seeing the outline of the roof, which is this outer line and shape. And then this interior is our building outline. We're not actually going to see that from the roof plan, right? Because that's underneath, but we still want to show it and represent it. So if it's underneath, what kind of attributes does it need to have? Right. So So it's hidden. So we need to make sure that we are communicating that and showing that it's a hidden line. So I'm going to select that polygon. I'm going to go into my attribute palette, select my line type, and make sure I select a dashed. Now I want to choose a dashed line that is of equal spacing and not too small. And there is my building outline. Now the thing is, as I was saying, I want this roof to actually be a butterfly roof. So there is going to be a valley that I need to show, right? As it's drawn right now, it can either be a flat roof or a shed roof in any direction right now. I want it to be a slope in. So I need to go back to my main floor and I will turn off my roof. I won't be able to see it. I'm going to draw a line, and all I'm going to do is use a line in this case. I'm just going to draw it too big for now. And then again, I'm going to take that line and I'm going to send it to my roof plan and go to my roof plan. So I'm going to click to the left of the and I can just use my trim tool again and go in and trim those sections of line. And there's my roof line. That's it. Okay. So it's not really asking much of you to draw this. It's asking you to figure out what it's actually going to look like. And how then, I'll get you guys to draw your roof plan. So if you're going to have like a deck, a roof deck, then you're going to need to show that. You're going to need to show railings if you're going to have a roof deck. If you have solar panels on top, you're going to need to show those. If you have storage tanks, you're going to need to show those, because we have to consider that too in the structure and how that's all going to tie into the other stuff. So I need you guys to flush this out, and then we're going to, after we've got that figured out, we're going to go into our elevations and we're going to draw our roofs. Oh baby. Well, and the slopes of our roofs, right? So that's where we're actually visually going to see what it's going to look like, other than plan view. This is visual, and it is going to look like this, but right now we're just looking down, and there's still pieces of information that aren't included in this. Oh no. Okay.